Several of my colleagues made the statement repeatedly that I have met with the whistleblower, that I know who the whistleblower is. It was false the first time I said it. It was false the second through 40th time they said it. It will be false the last time they say it.
How many times did he meet with the whistleblower? What did he talk to the whistleblower about? Because when the whistleblower even went to the inspector general, he never mentioned that he went with Adam Schiff.
You've never met the whistleblower at all. Do you know who the whistleblower is, though? You know the whistleblower's identity, right?
I do not know. So all those statements you heard from Mr. McCarthy are just flat out false and wrong, but that's the kind of person Kevin McCarthy is, I'm afraid.
Do you regret saying that we, the committee, weren't in touch with the whistleblower?
I should have been much more clear, and I said so the minute it was brought to my attention, that I was referring to the fact that when the whistleblower filed the complaint, we had not heard from the whistleblower. We wanted to bring the whistleblower in at that time, but I should have been much more clear about that.
Boy. So we got to talk about Trump-deranged Democrats, Letitia James and Adam Schiff, who are both facing investigations for alleged fraud, mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff apparently not knowing which house he actually lives in, right? What's his primary residence? What's his secondary residence? Saying that 2 places across the country are his primary residences when that's certainly not true. Presumably to get tax benefits or benefits associated with having the home be designated as a primary home. And then you have Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of New York. However, she signed documentation, a power of attorney, basically stating that she lived in Virginia, which is impossible considering how she is the Attorney General for the state of New York, And both of these individuals are individuals that claim that nobody's above the law, When Biden was in office, when President Trump was being investigated, persecuted, right? Nobody's above the law. Now, all of a sudden, they're crying foul because nobody is above the law, Including, again, Letitia James and Adam Schiff. And who they have to worry about holding them accountable is DOJ Special Attorney Ed Martin, who was seen outside of Letitia James's home checking it out, as he's been tapped for these probes. And of course, a white liberal woman, a nosy white liberal woman, had to come outside and make a bunch of commotion.
Is there want me to tell you how to access my... No, I'm just asking. I'm interested, because usually houses like this...
Tell me why you're here.
We're interested in the houses.
You're not interested in the houses. We know who lives here.
Is this like Second Empire?
It's just a track house. That's what all of these things are.
I know, but when was it built, do you think?
They're built before 1899.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. Now, if you're asking me, I would much rather be Letitia James than Adam Schiff as of right now, Because not only does Adam Schiff have the mortgage fraud allegations, but also he has the allegations against him that he leaked classified information in order to try to impeach Trump, in order to smear President Trump. A Democrat whistleblower has come out and basically told the FBI that, and there are good reasons to believe that this guy is not lying, because if he is lying, then he risks going to jail, which again means that somebody's lying here about whether or not this did or did not happen. And I personally believe that Adam Schiff is probably the liar. But regardless, the accountability, for that crime, that Adam Schiff allegedly is involved in is going to be much worse than whatever happens with mortgage fraud.
Yeah, Schiff was viewed as one of the most political chairs of that committee in its history. And this is a truly chilling account, if true. Now, when I first read it, frankly, I was taken aback because it's perfectly moronic to commit such a felony with a planning conference meeting with staff. That's not usually how things are leaked in Washington, D.C. What makes this different, Will, is that this was a statement made to FBI agents. The person who made this statement was no doubt aware that lying to FBI agents is not just a crime, but a crime that was repeatedly prosecuted during prior administrations, including the Obama and Biden administrations.
Right.
So making this statement puts you at risk. That's why someone's lying here and someone's a felon.
Okay, well, let's just for a moment hypothetically take this whistleblower at their word. Let's assume for a moment that it's true, Professor. What kind of punishment follows for leaking classified information?
Well, this is a very significant punishment. You can have, in addition to having multiple counts, you can easily go 10 years in terms of sentence, if not more, depending on the circumstances and the number of violations. Each of these leaks is an individual violation. Each of these documents would likely be charged as a violation. That type of count stacking is precisely what Mueller and others did. Remember, these are these are very similar to the types of claims made against Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, that he removed material and improperly stored them. There were also allegations that he might have revealed them to third parties. But this is much more serious in one sense. Trump was accused of negligence in most of these counts. This would be a premeditated criminal act to release classified information to damage one's political opponent.
Yeah, so again, if this is true, this is not looking good for Shifty Schiff, right? If he actually really did leak classified information like that, yeah, he is going to spend a long time in prison, as he should. So that being said, I want to react to this clip of Ed Martin, again, the special attorney for the DOJ that is working on the investigations into Letitia James and Adam Schiff. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Welcome back. A Democrat whistleblower has emerged saying that the then Democrat chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, authorized leaks of classified information to damage President Trump during his first term. The whistleblower, a longtime Democrat staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, said Schiff was upset because he expected to be the CIA director in a Hillary Clinton presidency. In a statement to Fox News, a spokesperson for Schiff said this: Kash Patel's latest smear against Senator Schiff is absolutely and categorically false and is the latest in a series of defamatory attacks from the president and his allies meant to distract from their plummeting poll numbers and the Epstein file scandal. Joining me now in the Sunday Morning Futures.
It is hilarious to listen to Democrats talk about anybody's poll numbers, right? When their poll numbers are at the bottom of the bottom, okay? They can say whatever they want about President Trump's poll numbers. His poll numbers are way better. The Republican poll numbers are way better than anything the Democrats got going on.
Exclusive is the director of the DOJ Weaponization Working Group, Ed Martin. He is investigating the weaponization of government, including Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud, and the January 6th probe, among others. Ed Martin, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Oh, always a pleasure, Maria.
And Ed, it has really, truly been a decade of dirty tricks, and that's being kind about it, against Donald Trump, beginning with the Russia hoax, to the impeachments, to the indictments, to the Hunter Biden laptop. Assess for us the last 10 years in your view, and you have criminal referrals right now on Adam Schiff, Letitia James, among others. What is the status?
Well, first of all, thanks for asking about the last 10 years. I mean, you know, when Donald Trump came into office as president, he signed an executive order saying, go and find out how government was weaponized against the citizens. When Attorney General Bondi came into office, she put a memo, put more specifics to it, and said, get to the bottom of this. She gave a specific list and a broad charge. And I have to tell you, for your viewers, we have the Attorney General Bondi has that Department of Justice spinning like a top. We've got more stuff going on. A lot of it we can't talk about because of the nature of it, but it's going like crazy. And one of them was, we were in a group, we're still in it, working on the Russia hoax. And Tulsi Gabbard declassified what happened, and she sent it over to us, to DOJ, as a criminal referral, and that's ongoing now. But what that was, and Maria, you're one of the earliest, I think you might be the only person, the only journalist who said early on, this is a Russia hoax. And you know, Brett had President Trump on an interview on that flight to Alaska, and in the interview, President Trump said the Russia hoax was meant to destroy the relationship with Russia, make it impossible to get things under control, get a reset like Hillary said she wanted. So what we have in the Department of Justice now is a weaponization working group and the backing of our leadership to go and find this stuff. And so the Russia hoax, we know the birthday of the Russia hoax. It's December 8th, 2016, where the Obama administration, including Obama, said, don't put the truth out, lie, and ask the media media to help us, and the Washington Post and others jumped right in. And then we had the Russia hoax that went on for 10 years. And every time they get in trouble, meaning the deep state and others, they throw another hoax out. And all we're doing at DOJ and all we're doing across the government is saying, get the truth out. And then, by the way, let's hold people accountable. And that's exactly what's going on. So when Bill Pulte sends a criminal referral over to us, and he says Letitia James and Adam Schiff, and by the way, both their lawyers have come out and talked publicly about that criminal referral. So you can talk to them about the specifics, because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do is we're going to follow the facts. Every American has that has a mortgage or has other documents they sign has to follow the law. We're going to go to the very bottom of the facts, and if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing, because when you're a liar, you lie not just on one thing. When you're a cheater, you cheat not just on one thing. When you're doing corruption, you generally don't just do it on one thing. So we have that's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors, and that's what we're doing.
Well, yeah, so again, all of this doesn't mean anything unless there's accountability, right? That's what I want to see at this point. I like the fact that this dude is fired up, right? I like the big talk. I like the tough talk, right? But execution matters. It matters. You got to better execute. But basically what he's saying in a nutshell is that they've already been found to be involved in dirty stuff. And because of the fact that they're now being investigated, there are a lot of things that they're going to look into, and whatever they find, they're going to go after. So Letitia James and Adam Schiff, they're being put on notice, right? They're basically being put on notice that this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning. And it ain't just Shifty Schiff and Letitia James, okay? I think that there are a lot of people, okay, that were involved in the weaponization of the government that need to be held accountable. Like, for example, James Comey, right, who apparently is releasing Substack videos admitting that he likes Taylor Swift, and how Taylor Swift apparently has helped him with his Trump derangement, or helps him when it comes to dealing with President Trump. I don't know. I'm just saying that these weirdos and freaks should be held accountable, because they are, in fact, weirdos and freaks.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my Substack. Last week's cold turns out to have been COVID, quite a flashback. And Donald Trump is still president and still humiliating America on a national stage, standing next to Vladimir Putin. It's like a dream, a bad dream you can't wake up from. But I don't want to talk about that bad dream this week. I want to talk about a truly inspirational public figure named Taylor Swift. Of course, I watched her podcast interview with the Kelsey brothers. Of course, I watched the whole thing, although on YouTube, Patrice and I got kicked off for the last 15 minutes and finished it on her phone. But I watched it. You see, Taylor Swift and I go way back. I went to my first concert of hers 15 years ago. I've been to a second, and I have helped financially support the attendance of a lot of family members at others. I'm in a family's Swiftie group chat. I know all her music, and I listen to it in my headphones when I cut the grass. So yes, I have a favorite of hers, although honestly for me it's a tie between All Too Well, 10-minute version, and Exile featuring Bon Iver. Taylor Swift has grown up with my family and provided us a soundtrack, really, as we've grown ourselves and learned and adapted and dealt with adversity and celebration. She had songs for all of it. I suspect that's something that millions of Americans have also experienced in their families. I think that's because Taylor Swift produces great art, but also because she models something. At every stage of her career, she's shown a certain way of being that resonated with my kids and also felt right to me as a parent. And she's still doing that as a grown-up. Like a lot of you, I struggle with how to stand up to bullies without letting their meanness infect me and change me. You may have seen that the governor of California has been generating a lot of attention lately by posting on social media in a satirical way where he mocks Donald Trump and his all-caps megalomania and his absurdity. And I find it very funny, hilarious even sometimes. But I gotta be honest, it also leaves me with a strange feeling at times, because I don't want us to become like Trump and his followers. There are far more decent, honest, kind people in America than there are mean jerks. And don't get me wrong, we have our jerks, millions of them, you may have noticed. In particular, there's a stunning coarseness and ugliness in the Republican Party today. It's upsetting, but it's also a minority of America. On the whole, we aren't like that, and we don't like that. I think that's a big part of the reason so few Americans support Donald Trump when they have to see him and that up close, and why Republicans are so worried about what's coming for them next year. And to be clear, I am not an advocate for weakness. Of course we need to stand up to jerks and defend what matters. But I think we have to try to do that without becoming like them, which is what makes me think about Taylor Swift. She's made clear that she sees Donald Trump for what he is. And last year she urged Americans not to make the serious mistake of electing him. Of course, we're now living with the consequences of that mistake, but while our elderly makeup-covered president is posting about whether Taylor Swift is still hot and declaring that he can't stand her, what's she doing? Living her best life, producing great music and, as she urged all of us to do during the podcast, not giving the jerks power over her mind.
Yeah, cringe videos like that is exactly why some of these Democrats should see some jail time, right? That guy is creepy as hell. I cannot believe he was a former FBI director. Kind of embarrassing stuff.
Oh, we are all waiting for accountability here. Adam Schiff went on Sunday morning programs and said there was collusion in plain sight. And he was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, so he had to know better that there was no evidence of any collusion in plain sight. So are you saying that this criminal referral is about something completely different, about mortgage fraud? Are you looking to get him on something other than Russia collusion?
Well, I'm saying that there's a referral from Bill Pulte about a mortgage fraud, about Adam Schiff. That's publicly discussed. His own lawyers have been out there. Now there's more on Adam Schiff. And all we're going to do, again, is get to the facts of this and use all the tools that we have in our system. What we've discovered, and I know you want to ask me about some of this, in the weaponization, is that Joe Biden's Justice Department actively targeted American citizens, Catholics who went to Mass, parents who went to school boards, people who were involved in the Russia. You know, I hear from Carter Page every now and then. Carter Page was destroyed by the Russia hoax, and we're sitting around and pretending it's okay to say that, you know, there was a secret meeting on December 9th, 2016 in the Situation Room where they plotted the Russia hoax, and then we're going to say, oh, that was really bad. No, it wasn't really bad. It needs to be held accountable in every way we can.
Well, you went to Letitia James's home this week. You were in New York.
Yeah, look, I'm a prosecutor, and when I do these cases, I was in New York I was in Newark, actually, New Jersey, for some meetings, and I went over to New York for another meeting, and I went by there. One of the referrals is about that property that she has. Is a very prominent neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I wanted to lay eyes on it. I think most people, if you're prosecuting something, you're careful. I didn't go there and announce it. Some woman came storming up and shooting video and talking to me, but I wanted to see the property, and there's a number of other aspects of these cases where you got to get a sense of what is actually at stake.
Do you have a grand jury in these cases?
Let me say, when you get a criminal referral, one of the tools you have is a grand jury, and I'll leave it to you to infer what I mean. But these referrals are criminal referrals, significant enough that that they would warrant using all the tools, and the tools include subpoenas and witnesses, and that is in our system. That is the system. I'm not like Jack Smith. Jack Smith liked to talk about how he did things and what he did and brag about it. Letitia James did, by the way, as a prosecutor. She liked to come out and hold press conferences. I'll just tell you, when you get a criminal referral, and her own lawyer made the comments publicly, you can infer what you need to.
Well, let's talk about January 6th, because you are also investigating January 6th, which was also part of this 10 years of scandals. What have you learned?
Well, again, Attorney General Pam Bondi let us loose on this, and there's a group of us working on January 6th. What we've learned is that the federal government, the Department of Justice, but other aspects, targeted these citizens. They basically turned government on to make the hoax work. So I'm not talking about somebody that pushes a cop. That's a charge you can look at in charge. I'm talking about that the FBI and others were putting American citizens on terrorism watch lists. They were auditing their IRS tax returns. They were targeting the American people. They were taking massive amounts of resources and moving them from fighting, child trafficking and fighting real corruption and saying we have to move everybody to look at the Capitol siege. It was a political hoax that was driven by Garland, Lisa Monaco, and others. And what, again, Attorney General Bondi has said is get to the bottom of it. Some of it may not be illegal, but it's some of the worst. In federal prosecutor world, we think about the importance of that role. There's a guy named Robert Jackson, who is the prosecutor guy. And what you see is Lisa Monaco's Justice Department acting in ways we've never seen before. And when we show all that, and we're writing reports regularly on it, it's not one aspect. The federal court system was used in a way. The jails were used in a way to punish people it's foreign. They didn't do this to the terrorists after 9/11, and they were doing it to American citizens. So that's a fulsome investigation on January 6th, and it will make clear the hoax, which is really the 2020 election hoax. We were told we couldn't talk about it because of January 6th, and the whole thing is falling apart, Maria, and it's going to get to the bottom, and the players are always the same. It's always the same. The same people on December 9th, 2016, in the Situation Room in Obama's White House are playing the same game all these years.
Yeah, so again, accountability, right? Accountability. Okay, we need to see some arrest, right? I want to see some charges. But, if they are really taking this to a grand jury, then that means that they seriously feel like they have a case, right? And that's what we're going to have to wait for at this point, is what happens with the grand jury investigations. But as of right now, again, Adam Schiff, Letitia James have been put on notice that they're currently being investigated, right? And now they have investigative powers to really look into stuff and to see exactly what corruption they've been up to, right? And, Democrats going to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about this. But ultimately, in the day, this is a game that they started, right? They should never have opened up this can of worms if they didn't want this, right? This is what they did to Trump. This is what they've been doing to Trump for years now, right? Literally for years. And now that they're facing accountability, now they want to cry foul, right? That's the crazy part about it. So we're going to see what happens. I'm just saying that I want more than talk, right? And promises. I want actual action. If there's a there, right? If you guys got something, right, then you need to go after it. And I think that's what they're trying to do here. So we're going to see what the results are. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. A Black Conservative Perspective. Peace.